The Film Basement is filmed in sunny West Hartford, Connecticut, in front of a live studio.
Welcome to a
audience.
particularly super episode of the Filmmakers Basement. I'm Brandon,
I'm Andrew.
and we're going to be talking about some of the movies we saw in the past week, in addition to playing a little game show later on. And both me and Andrew have actually seen the same movie this week, and that is the Super Mario Brothers movie. The brothers Mario and Luigi, Italian-American plumbers who are transported to an alternate world and become entangled in a battle between the Mushroom Kingdom, led by Princess Peach, and the Koopas, led by Bowser. So Andrew, I don't know how you feel about this because we didn't talk about this before we started. I thought the movie was entirely fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
It's not really great. It's not really bad. It's just fine.
I thought it was good.
Really? Okay. What would you like about it?
I liked, so when I was reading up on some of the reviews from critics, because critics didn't really give it a great rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It's actually got a 7.4 on IMDb, and I don't know if that's from users or not. I think it is, but critics gave it like a 50, which is pretty bad. And they were saying that, like, if you want, I read one, it said if you want to go watch a movie based on a popular gaming franchise, Dungeons and Dragons is still playing. So they're basically saying to skip this because it's terrible, and to go watch a better movie like Dungeons and Dragons that'll give you more of like a nostalgic feel to like a gaming type of movie. But and I understand that, like, people may crap on the movie because it's, it's, I don't know, it's a kids movie. It's not made for adults like us or whoever's watching. But that being said, there's enough nostalgia in this movie that I think critics aren't taking into account. Like a lot of critics I don't think they're taking into the fact of the nostalgia feel. Like a lot of them said that there was no nostalgia feel to this movie. And I was sitting there, and like within the first 5 minutes, I was immediately getting nostalgia feels from this movie.
So it's weird you mentioned that, because that was actually one of my complaints, was that there was too much nostalgia. So I don't know how the heck they got to
I don't know
how the heck they got to that point. There wasn't enough of it.
I didn't think there was too much, because with a movie like that, you kind of have to, it's a kids movie, so you kind of have to keep the adults entertained. And the adults that are bringing to their kids to see this movie grew up playing Donkey Kong and the original Mario games, like on the Nintendo 64 and stuff like that. And there was enough nostalgia to keep the adults entertained, while also bringing in some of the newer Mario games in the franchises so that the kids understood some of the references. Like the first reference that just threw me to the moon was Luigi's ringtone. Luigi's ringtone was the opening melody for the GameCube. And it's like, that's just an iconic audio track that you hear, growing up in the early 2000s.
I'm actually not sure that was the first one. I think the first one, it might have been the original Mario voice showing up.
So that was the first one for me that like kind of threw me over the edge. Like I was like,
gotcha.
Oh, because I knew Charles Martinet. I actually met Charles Martinet last weekend before Easter at MegaCon, and I asked him about if he was going to be in the movie, and he did say he had some roles. Like he had 2 roles that he played in the movie. And then Giuseppe, who was the character who was modeled after the original Jumpman with the red suit and the blue overalls, obviously he basically used Mario's voice for that role. So no, that one was a good one. And then a lot of people were like hating on Chris Pratt for
Mhm.
him voicing this iconic role, and I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I think that came from a lot of the reaction before the movie actually came out. Because
It
like when
was.
you're watching it, you can't really like it's not that bad. I won't
And
say it's a fantastic performance, but like
well,
it's
because
entirely serviceable.
and then the first few lines that you actually hear him speak in the movie is
Mhm.
him imitating the Mario voice in the commercial that him and Luigi make.
Yeah, and
And
it
he does
works.
it perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But he's not going to use that voice throughout the entirety
Mhm.
of the movie. Like, Mario is not a character who speaks in long drawn out sentences like you would need for a scripted movie.
Mhm.
Like, he says wahoo and let's go and it's a me, and that's pretty much it. Like, that's pretty much
Yeah.
all you get out of Mario.
It was funny because I did actually, before going into the movie, I asked, because I went with a bunch of my friends, I did ask them, hey, how many minutes of the movie do you think we're going to get before Mario says, it's a me? And literally the first 10 seconds of the movie
Yeah.
was, it's a me, Mario. It's like, all right, you didn't have to do it that quickly. I will say before we move on, while I did think there were moments where it was fine, I do think there were way too many remember this moments
Hmm.
where it's like, remember Donkey Kong? And he's just in the movie for whatever reason. It's like, remember Mario Kart? Like, just completely out of left field. It's like, I don't know why this is here. This could have been its own thing. I don't know why we're just like, it felt like they were throwing all their eggs into one basket, hoping that people would love the nostalgia a lot and
Mhm.
maybe like may help it make up for some of the other issues the movie has. So I'm
Well,
not sure on that end, but it felt
because
like a little too much for me where it's like, okay, you don't need to do it this hard. Like I get that the Mario exists as a franchise. This movie can exist a little bit separate from that. You don't need to keep throwing this in my face.
because they combine the references from the original like series of games, because Mario is
Mm-hmm.
it's not just Mario, it's not
No.
just Super Mario World, it's Mario Kart, Mario Party,
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole expanded, Donkey Kong was
Yeah.
obviously a Donkey Kong, I think, was in the movie because um he's he's such an important character for Mario, because
Mm-hmm.
that's how Mario got his start. Mario didn't get his start from a Mario
Yeah.
game, he got his start from Donkey Kong.
But
um
for me at least, it just felt like another extra remember this
mm,
moment, where it's like it doesn't like the whole Donkey Kong stuff didn't feel like it contributed much to the story. It was just kind of there to be like he was there too at the start of this, so why we got to put him in the movie.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because like I was saying, they're combining references from different properties and different eras.
Mm-hmm.
So like they had the Mario Kart stuff, yes, but they had the Mario Kart stuff from Mario Kart 64 and
Yeah.
Mario Kart 8. So like the other thing that like kind of threw me over the moon about
Mm-hmm.
the movie is when they went in to customize their karts,
Yeah.
and they had the wheels like you
Mm-hmm.
have in the game, where you have these wheels and you're scrolling through them and you can see all the body types and all the tires and all the gliders. And then when they're ready and when they go and they're ready to select the three that they want, they hit a
Mm-hmm.
giant red A button. And I just thought that was just so great.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
No, see, little things like that I didn't mind as much. Like for one
Mm-hmm.
that popped up for me at least. It's not something they ever mentioned directly, but was when Toad showed up. He looked like Toad from Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yep.
like little things like that I don't mind. It's when you really throw it in my face and are making me say, "Remember this, remember this, remember this." And it's like I just give the movie some time to breathe, man. Like I don't
See,
need to remember everything like right now, this instant for this one movie.
I didn't have many like kind of remember like thrown in
Mm-hmm.
my face moments, because I was more looking for like the little stuff in the background, like
Mm-hmm.
the scrolly wheels, like um at the beginning of the movie they announced that the mayor of New York was Paulina from Super Mario
Yeah.
Odyssey. I noticed that. And uh Mario was playing Kid Icarus on on an original Nintendo system at the beginning of
Mm-hmm.
the game, and you're just like, wait, Mario has a Nintendo in his game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, does that mean he has his own game? And it's like, it's kind of like threw my head for a loop for a minute, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of that kind of stuff that I was more looking at rather than the stuff that was, getting thrown, at me hardcore. Because I think those moments were more for the kids for the movie. Because they'll remember, or they'll see Bowser in his wedding outfit from Super Mario Odyssey, and you're like, and they'll be like, oh, they'll know what that is because they played Mario Odyssey before. Whereas me, I didn't play Mario Odyssey, but I know of the outfit that he wears. But I know some of the other little stuff from back when I was a kid and playing in the N64 and then original Nintendo, Super Nintendo versions.
Yeah. So while we are on the topic of Bowser, I will say, well, I've so far I've been pretty negative on this. The one outstanding part of this movie was Jack Black as Bowser.
Of course.
That was perfect casting, and I love the way they played him as a simp. That was such a fucking funny take on Bowser, especially all the musical numbers. The Peaches one pops out to me, but all of them are good. It's like, and it makes sense in the context of the movie. It's like, yeah, he's always abducting this random woman that he wants no part of him. Of course he'd be like a simp.
No, he's always wanting to go after Peach, but when you play the game, you don't know why. He's just like, oh, he's just always abducting her, and it's just like, well, why? It's like, oh, and then in Super Mario Odyssey, it's like, oh, they're trying to marry Peach. Wait, what's happening now? And then it turns out in the movie they have to portray it as something, and he's just a complete, infatuate love with this character.
And it's such a perfect way to handle it too, because again, it's like it's such a modern context for it too. It's not like they're bringing this back. This is something that makes sense for the current generation, and it also somehow it works perfectly with him as a character, because he still manages to be like a terrifying villain at a variety of times, especially towards the beginning of the movie with his introduction, where like he burns down a castle, and even later in the movie when he's interrogating Luigi at one point about like Mario, because like he's trying to get more information about Mario, but he's also trying to find out if Mario is interested in Peach. So you get this weird like mix between Bowser doing this interrogation and also still being a crazy simp.
It's this
that works really well.
It's this weird combo between like a it's like they took Darth Vader from Star Wars and Dark Helmet from Spaceballs and made them one character.
That's a really good comparison,
because he's a terrifying villain and he will destroy everything in his path, but then he goes and role plays with Kamek like halfway through the movie about how he's going to approach Peach about being also in love,
completely out of nowhere. But it works so well.
It immediately reminded me of that because the blue Koopa like barged in on them like while they were doing it, and it immediately threw me to Spaceballs with Dark Helmet playing with his dolls.
Oh my gosh, you're right, yeah.
And I was like, it's like, okay, so this is exactly like what they're going for this, and I know that they're throwing it in there because again, it's a kids movie and they're going to want to have kids laugh, and it's funny looking at Kamek cross-dressing as Princess Peach.
But that's also the great part of it too, because it works really well on a kid's level and an adult's level. So it's like you get something for both audiences. And again, it's part of why I like Bowser so much is he plays well to both of those crowds, especially if Jack Black as Bowser. Like, it would not have been the same if anybody else was playing that. Entirely different role.
And going back to the characters and the actors that portray them, you say you didn't like understand or know why Donkey Kong was in the movie.
It wasn't that I didn't understand it. It's just like it felt like an extra thing. It's
that
like
didn't
an
need
extra.
To be there.
Yes, it was like an extra. Remember this moment kind of.
Well, I very much enjoyed Donkey Kong and Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong because they basically let Seth Rogen be Seth Rogen for a character who typically doesn't speak in any property of Nintendo ever. And there was one point where, and we're getting into spoiler territory, but there's when they're battling in the arena, which also very nostalgic of Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, that definitely was another one of those moments.
There's a moment where Mario gets a power up, but it's the poison mushroom, and he shrinks down to little itty bitty size, and Donkey Kong gets right in his face and essentially just does the Seth Rogen laugh.
Okay,
just
every
that.
time that happened in the movie, it felt like a jump scare. This was like, oh my god, except that Seth Rogen.
Yeah,
Like it was like a visceral moment for
so
me.
it was that iconic Seth Rogen deep laugh that he always does, but it was coming out of a giant monkey wearing a tie, and it just kind of like made me like giggle a lot just because it's just weird. It's just weird seeing that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. In terms of characters, I think
Everyone did fine.
I didn't really
Yeah.
have a least favorite. Like
No.
everyone was good.
Again, for me at least, it felt like everyone was fine. Nobody was outstanding besides Jack Black, but nobody was absolutely terrible. You know, it's like everyone fit and like it works well. Like even like Chris Pratt, like we mentioned, Charlie Day played a pretty good Luigi, though I will say I got really tired of the coward bit after a while.
I wish there was more
Yeah.
of Luigi, and I wish there was more of the cowardly because that's it's like this so it's like another children's movie that's coming out later with TMNT. Like the new TMNT movie has the turtles as younger adolescents, and they're not they're not, but to me they're not, like each turtle has their own personality, and they don't have their personalities yet. Luigi's personality is that he is a terrified scaredy cat, and I thought that was perfect, and I wanted more of it because it wasn't really thrown in your, I don't know if this was more of like one of your thrown in your face moments, but when he gets sucked into the other pipe and he goes to the evil zone, and he's got the flashlight and he's turning the flashlight on and he's whispering for Mario, it's immediate Luigi's Mansion vibes.
Yeah.
Because that was his whole thing. That was his first big video game was him with a flashlight walking around going Mario, and I was just like, yes, give me more of this. And I don't know, I just wanted more Charlie Day of Luigi, just because I enjoyed that character. And then he gets a little redemption at the end.
Yeah,
where,
I just wish there was a little bit more to Luigi than just I'm scared all the time. It's like I get it a couple times. Like it makes sense. You start in the beginning, you set him up as a scaredy cat, but there never really felt like a moment where he earned not being a scaredy cat. It's like he was just scared throughout the whole movie, besides the last 20 minutes. So that got a little bit old for me. But besides that, I mean, like Anya Taylor-Joy is good Peach. Keegan-Michael Key, I would say, is actually probably my second favorite person in this movie as Toad. I didn't even know it was him. It's just a really good Toad impression.
Did really well with Toad.
Yeah, dude was pretty good. So yeah, casting was good. Besides that, I'm trying to think.
The only gripe that I had with the movie is that in the lore of Mario, of the Mario games, Mario is not from New York. I think so. When I saw that Paulina was the mayor of the city that they were living in, I thought it was going to be New Donk City, which is where Paulina is a mayor in Super Mario Odyssey. And I'm like, oh, so they're setting it up like New York City, but it's New Donk City, and they have the suburbs named the same as New York City and stuff. But no, like they're from actually New York, but Paulina is still the mayor. I think
that was just a throwaway, like, weird. Remember this moment. It's like, yeah, that's Paulina, like, people pleaser moment. Just like, hey, you remember her? She's here too. I will say, I think the only other major thing for me was it felt like there was a lot of and then this happened moments where it's like first Mario goes to the Mushroom Kingdom and then he goes to the Donkey Kong place and then this happens, and it's like nothing ever really feels like it doesn't feel like we're moving the story forward in a meaningful way. It's just like and then this and then this and then this and then this. And there's
it definitely played the game, like the game with that, because I mean that's how you progress through the game, is you go to the different worlds.
You don't want everything to feel exactly like the game. It's a different medium, it's a different format. You want I just want a little bit more to it than that. That being said, overall entirely fine. I think this is a fine watch. Like a very safe movie on Nintendo's part, which it's Nintendo. I think that makes sense. I think it's a pretty good movie for kids. Like if you want to take your kids to this, I don't think you won't hate yourself for doing that. Like
No.
you'll have a great time watching it.
No, it's a good watch if you're a kid or if you're an adult, because after watching the Super Mario Bros. Movie from the 1993,
oh god,
yeah, with the more realistic type of like characters of Bowser and Yoshi, and it's just kind of like, okay,
does not hold up.
It doesn't. I mean, it's a classic. I enjoy watching it, because it's it's a classic nostalgia thing for me. But yeah, no, the movie is not great. This movie is good, and don't read into what the critics are saying, because I mean, you can even tell, because I think it's got like a 95 audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's good. It's a good movie. So
Yeah,
and
it's fine.
and Jack Black sings in the movie, and
He
it's
is so good.
phenomenal. And
Again,
they've already
I
made
cannot
they've
stress
already
how
made a
good Jack
music
Black
video
is.
for it. It's already online.
It's
already
very
on
good.
YouTube, and it's great.
Yeah, definitely recommend just on Jack Black alone, just being Bowser. Absolutely perfect.
And it sets up sequels.
Yes. Of course, it's got to set up a sequel. You can't just make a movie these days and not have a sequel.
I was telling some friends of mine, I was I'm like, I'm hoping that they actually make this a universe, and they actually do like an Avengers style team up, but it's a Super Smash Bros. Movie.
Didn't they spoil something from a recent Nintendo convention about that?
I don't
they said
think
they were doing that.
I don't think so, because like I'm hoping that it's going to be like the original 8. I don't think it would be, but like the original 8 are Donkey Kong, Mario, Kirby, Pikachu, Link, Samus, Fox, and missing one, Yoshi. So I don't know that they would do all that, because with Sonic being so popular, I'm sure they would include Sonic as well, because Sonic is in Smash Bros. Anyway. But I was just kind of hoping that they would make a bunch of movies that are like individual, like Marvel did, and then just one team up movie where like they're all fighting each other at the beginning and they all have to team up at the end. And I don't know. That's just kind of what I'm hoping for, because then they
I'm
can
sure we'll get something
on it
like that. Like it seems in this day and age, again, you can't just not have a million sequels.
It would just be perfect, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what's coming in the future. I'm sure in the next year or two we'll hear the rumblings of either another Mario movie or another spin-off
like Star
movie.
Fox, or like a Metroid movie or something.
We'll get something.
I would get so horny for a Metroid movie.
Bruh.
Like I fucking love Metroid.
All right, on that bombshell, why don't we move on to everyone's favorite game show, Pilot Wings? Okay, so Andrew's played this game a bunch, but for those who haven't, Pilot Wings is a series of game shows. In this instance, I'm going to be pitching. Essentially, Andrew's going to be guessing a movie. I've given Andrew 3 reviews, pulled from Rotten Tomatoes. These are audience reviews, and he's got to guess based off those reviews what the movie is. And he's definitely seen this movie. You've reviewed this movie, because I checked in I checked in our back catalogs just to make sure. So you should know what movie this is, based off things you have seen. But let's start off with our first one from Adam W. Incredibly lackluster and such a disappointment. Stuck in trying to justify characters and forced introductions of old characters. The plot twist ruins previous movies. The movie was made for a paycheck and not the series. Disappointed. And this number 2, brought to us by Natalie P. It hurts to see that one of the best movies in history has turned into a joke. Poor characters, effects are not comparable to the original movies. The story lacks any logic and leaves you to the only thought, why am I watching this? I managed to see only half the movie because it's just pain. And finally, from Steve W. A cash grab that is too self-aware and doesn't add anything to the series. Rewatch the original instead. So, Andrew, based off those 3 reviews, could you hazard guess at what movie this is?
No. I mean, obviously it's a movie that is a sequel. Oh. And it sounds like it's I don't know if because like one of them said rewatch the original,
Hmm.
which means it makes it sound um like it's a late sequel.
Hmm.
Like it came out a long time after the original came out. But the only and the only other thing is poor characters, special effects are not comparable to the original movies. It gives you original movies, so it sounds like there was more than one in the series. So I was trying to think of ones that I've seen that came out much later after this one. And the only one I could think of off the top of my head was Top Gun Maverick. But Top Gun Maverick only has one original movie.
Hmm.
And there's not really much of a plot twist to that movie, like the first description says. I do think I have another idea of what it is
Hmm.
because I think these are some of the complaints I had about this movie. And I think I am going to go with I don't even remember the tagline for this movie.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I do. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna take a stab at the Matrix Resurrections.
Okay. Do you want to lock that in, or do you want to hear the last review that I've hidden?
Um, just to be safe, I'll hear that
Okay.
last one because I'm pretty sure I'm right.
The South Park, and this is from our good friend Fun.
Hmm.
The South Park Member Berries episode comes to mind. It's just a poor attempt at a nostalgia trip. It's almost shameful that they think a few self-aware jokes sprinkled here and there would save this dumpster fire. Good acting and CGI as you would expect for a blockbuster movie, but entirely generic and unoriginal. If you're a fan of the original, save yourself for the torment and don't watch this unless you enjoy watching car crashes in slow motion.
Uh, the car crashes are throwing me off. I I don't remember reviewing any movie that had a lot of car scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I I, I can't remember if I reviewed Bumblebee or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did. I think it was a while ago.
Mm-hmm. I don't think so because you didn't have it on your list, but
Oh, well, no, that would have been like last year, like way back.
I thought Bumblebee came out way earlier than that.
I don't know.
Wasn't that in like 2019?
I'm gonna stick with the Matrix, I guess, because it's the only
Okay.
thing that I could think of, and it has some car
Mm-hmm.
scenes. It's just not a lot, not very many.
Not very many. Well, Andrew, you'll be pleasantly surprised. No, it is in fact the Matrix Resurrections.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember any car. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really pay attention much to that movie just because of how not great it was.
Just like our friend Natalie.
So that second one,
Hmm.
if you would have used a different one than that second one that said effects are not comparable to the original movies and
Hmm.
given me that plural, I would have thought that it would only had an original, and then
Hmm.
I would have been way confused.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, the way that they describe it as a previous movies or original movies, yeah, it makes it sound like it
See,
had
it's interesting that you
multiple.
you went with Top Gun first. I didn't even think that was the one you were going to guess. I thought you were going to guess Jurassic World. I thought that was going to throw you off into picking this, but I completely forgot Top
Oh,
Gun was also a sequel that came out so
yeah.
long ago.
I guess I really didn't think of Jurassic World as something that. Oh yeah, I guess.
No, it's entirely valid. It's like that's technically wouldn't have been right.
Yeah, because no, I mean, Jurassic World would have been a cat. Well, because I don't know,
Mhm.
because this made it sound like that it was one movie that was
Yeah,
made previous from a previous movie or series, whereas Jurassic World has a trilogy
yeah, fair
of
enough.
movies. That it's got. I mean, the whole series has two trilogies now.
Mhm.
So and and the third one's terrible, but I mean, I will say I'm pretty sure people I think a lot of people think that the third Matrix movie is bad.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty simply pleased when it comes to
Mhm.
films, though. So
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, hey, I think you did pretty good considering what you had to work with.
it's just that
Um,
there was a lot, like the plot twist line
mhm.
that like really threw me as like, okay, this is probably the major, because like I can only think of one movie that had like a plot twist that also did terribly after its original
Mhm.
movies came out. um so and it was definitely a cash grab, and taking a hold of that nostalgia feel that a lot of movies were taking at that time of year. With,
Mhm.
we had Top Gun and Jurassic World, and there's a few others that Hollywood made that were sequels to for much earlier previous films. We've had a lot of those recently. So
Yeah, definitely.
mhm.
But yeah, that'll take us out of Pilot Wings this week. I'll see what I'll do for next week, but I might just keep doing on this train. But for the moment, let's check out some movies that are coming out in the future. And we've already talked about this one quite a bit. And I'll probably be seeing this one. It's my next movie, but of course, Renfield.
Yeah,
Nicolas Cage as a vampire is just so perfect.
I was probably gonna skip ahead just
Yeah.
um because I'll probably wait to post this for like a week, but
Yeah.
like uh, other than the 2 weeks that we've already like looked at movies with, the movies coming out this
Mhm.
upcoming weekend and the movies coming out next weekend, um there's not a lot there that I'm interested in. I
Mhm.
mean, there's a George Foreman documentary that might look okay.
Looks good. At least from the
Um,
trailers I've seen of it.
the David Bowie documentary is coming out.
Mhm.
Um, but we do have, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I mean, that's probably my next big movie that I'm seeing with all
Mhm.
my friends, because there is a movie that I want to see that I think it's out. I think it's on Apple TV.
Oh.
That I think I'm going to review the next um time. It is on Apple TV and it
Mhm.
is out. Well, it came out in the UK on March 31st, and I think I'm going to review it if I am able to watch it. It's called
Okay.
Tetris.
Oh yeah, isn't that like the biopic
And
or
it's about the
something?
guy who created
Yeah.
Tetris and then sold it to Nintendo. And I
Mhm.
keep seeing um videos about, like, clips on TikTok about it, and I'm really interested to watch it. So I'm probably going to be watching that one next,
Yeah, that looks super solid.
even though I have Apple TV and I've never used it.
Not
Um
even for Ted Lasso?
I've been meaning to watch Ted
Oh man,
Lasso,
you're missing out.
but I haven't, and I might wait till season 3, because season 3 is coming out soon, right? I
It's
might
already
wait.
started releasing, I
Is it?
think.
I
Yeah.
might wait until season 3 is over just to binge watch all 3 seasons all at
It's
once.
worthwhile. Very good show. I've actually got a good streak of movies coming up because I have Beau is Afraid after Renfield, and
Mhm.
that's the one from the director of Midsummer, which is like could let me down, but I'm hopefully excited that it will be a very fun ride. And then after that, there's the Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret movie, which seems like it could be very funny, and I am very about that.
Hmm.
So I'll definitely be checking that out as well. So I'm happy. It seems like there's a bunch of stuff coming out for me to check out, heal into my interests.
Hmm.
But I think on that note, I think we can close out for this week.
Oh, and
Oh,
I do have to see Air, which is out already too.
what is Air?
It's the biopic about Nike making their
Oh
Jordans
yeah, forgot about that
with
one.
Brad Pitt and Matt Damon.
Yeah,
Or not Brad Pitt, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
yeah. Famous people galore. But yeah, I think we can close it out there. Andrew, do you have anything you want to plug before we close out this week?
Mm-mm.
Don't think I have
Just
anything I
trying to
want to
think
do
of
either.
just trying to think of the movie trailers that I watched over the weekend with Super Mario. I thought there was
Mhm.
one that I saw that I was like, This is weird, but I don't remember what it was.
It's weird.
I don't know.
Well, maybe it'll come to you in the meantime. But I
Maybe.
think from there we can close it out. Thank you for listening to the Filmmakers Basement. I'm Brandon.
I'm Andrew.
And we will see you all next time. Thank you for listening.